Reinier de Ridder just lost to Brendan Allen via oxygen loss. And today we're going to talk about this fight, the consequences of that loss, and what's next for the middleweight division. If that sounds like something you would enjoy, don't forget to spank my anus and the like button, and let's begin. Now, I just gotta say, it wasn't that long ago we saw Reinier de Ridder steal Bo Nickal's soul via knees of destruction, and this fight was very reminiscent of that. Yes, this fight might not have had the same knees, but it still had someone losing via humiliation. And can I just say that Bo Nickal must have been sitting at home for this whole fight with the biggest shit-eating grin on his face. I just know Bo was sitting there, and at the end of the fight, he's like, "Babe, can we get a Brendan Allen poster? I want to put it in my room."
No, you have enough gay porn as it is.
So let's discuss what happened in this fight for those of you who didn't catch it. The fight started and Allen was getting absolutely dog-walked for the first round like a Shemaya victim. De Ridder really seemed to have his number, he seemed to get him down with ease, and it was very much like when you roll with a higher belt in your gym. Everywhere Allen rolled, RDR would follow and he'd be a step ahead of him. Not only that, he continually put him in worse and worse positions. Now, during all of these grappling sequences, Brendan was calm, but RDR just seemed to be dominating him. There was one stage where RDR had a very deep head and arm choke, and outside of that, he got off some good ground and pound when he was going from position to position. And as I said, honestly, it looked like RDR was too dominant and that he had his number right from the get-go. And in my head, I'm like, Shemaya really has a new contender here. He's gonna have a serious grappler he has to deal with. But then, it happened. Brendan come out in the second round and said, "You know what? Jiu-Jitsu's fake anyway." He then went on to dodge all of the sub attempts that RDR was trying to get off his back. He folded RDR up like a pretzel, and then he said, "It's time for you to run out of oxygen." RDR then took the role of SpongeBob and Patrick in the SpongeBob movie, and he decided to gas out. Then RDR's like, "Hold on, brother. This isn't working. I need to try a new strategy. I seem to be getting gassed out. Maybe I'll continue to try work off my back and get a submission, so I can gas out even further." He then continued to fail over and over again, and Brendan seemed to work through his guard, his inversions, and everything RDR was throwing up was just being dodged and countered. Basically, from here, Brendan decided to keep floating and peppering, and honestly, he was getting good work in, but the fight was just boring. There was no real deep sub attempts, it was just more of a grappling clinic. But I will say this, during those first 3 rounds, I had no idea that RDR was really gassed. I was kind of like that Leonardo DiCaprio meme, where he's like, and I thought to myself, wait a minute. Why is RDR so slow to get up off the ground to get back to his stool? And then my mind started calculating. Wait, no, he couldn't possibly be, could he? Is the BJJ practitioner the one who trained for a 5-round fight with one of the guys who has probably the best gas tank in the middleweight division? Is that same guy starting to get gassed? And the answer was yes, badly. And so I don't really know what happened in this fight, if De Ridder has an injury, if that's going to come out after I make this video, but my thoughts are maybe he blew his load in the first round. Maybe he was trying really hard to get the sub attempt in that first round, and then in the second round, rather than conceding bottom position, he thought he could play jiu-jitsu off his back, and then seemingly gassed out because of it. But after that second round, it just really seemed to go downhill. Slowly, more and more, Brendan Allen just started to take over, and then he started the 4th round by picking up RDR and dunking him like a Marab victim. And that's when I knew it was over. But what really shook me and had me stop the video I was making, glazing JDM and Volk, was that I've seen people give up due to groin strikes. I've seen people give up to eye pokes. I've seen people give up to all kinds of injuries, but never have I seen a high-level competitor, one who is dominant at jiu-jitsu and outgassing people, give up on the stool. Whether that was his coaches or him, I've never seen someone so defeated on the stool and give up. And that's why I was so confused by this stoppage and had to make a video to talk about it. When I look at RDR, I see someone who steals souls. Someone who is gritty, someone who steals people's confidence, and someone who makes you quit. Not the opposite. RDR was that guy who threw knees that probably made you feel like you're gonna shit your pants. But instead, he ended up shitting his pants. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe he just really needed to poop. so he called it off early. Let's run with that. I would do that. I will never be able to look at RDR the same, because how can I see you out-gritting someone when you gave up due to your gas tank? Would you ever see Drickus give up because of his gas tank? Would you ever see Fluffy Hernandez give up because of his gas tank? Or Volk, or any of these top-level guys? I mean, de Ridder didn't even take any body shots. They were just grappling. You're telling me that you didn't do 5 rounds of hard grappling for your training camp when you were a grappler? That's why this stoppage was so confusing. Like, how was this guy supposed to beat Hernandez, one of the best, most scrappy grapplers in the middleweight division, and then go on to fight Chimaev, another guy who can grapple for 5 rounds? With ease. We saw that. Anyway, I can't see him out scrapping Hernandez. I can't see him out goofing DDP. And I think it's just going to take a few fights and a few wins for him to remind us of his potential. So anyway, that was his fight with Brendan Allen. Next, I want to talk about the consequences of this fight. Now, the first thing that comes to mind is that Imavov would have been sitting at home with a massive smile across his face. Just this big shit-eating French grin, knowing that he is getting the next title shot. He's like, yay, I get to be the next Chimaev victim. Because RDR losing here has now ruined his shot at the title. If he had went out here and had a dominant performance against Brendan Allen, yes, it might not have secured him a title shot like if he had went and ran through Hernandez, but it would have put him near title contention as a grappler who could actually compete with Chimaev. But as we now know, that's gone. I mean, he's lucky he didn't get the Hernandez fight. It would have been even worse. And you might think not getting the title shot or near the title shot is the biggest consequence, but I think the biggest consequence of this performance is that he has now lost his aura and his momentum in the middleweight division. After seeing what we saw today, how can you justify a fight against, as I said, DDP, Hernandez, Caio Baralho, anyone in the top of this division? RDR had this aura of someone who was so dominant and scrappy, and now he just has the aura of a goofball. Yes, he has good knees and he has good jiu-jitsu, but he has a sus as fuck gas tank, and that's always going to be exploited. Now, another consequence would be that he's probably not getting a title shot for 1 to 2 years now. Ouch. Now, lastly, what's next for the middleweight division? So this just means that Imavov and Chimaev is basically guaranteed, which to be honest, I'm not that hyped about, but you know, I'll still watch it because I have nothing else better to do. But I think we all know how that one goes. They'll probably give Brendan Allen his call out and let him fight Drickus. I don't see why not. They've got nothing to lose there, really. And that's a fight I would love to see. They're both goofballs, they both throw themselves into stupid positions, and they're both gritty, have good power, and good jiu-jitsu. Except maybe not Drickus from that last fight. But still, it would be fun. Now, other than that, maybe they'll do a Caio versus Hernandez, and they could be like a backup contestant for the next title shot. I don't mind that fight. I think that's a great fight. Now, some people might say, what about Strickland? But I feel like once he comes off his suspension, he'll probably be fighting Izzy, because they're the rumors that we constantly keep hearing. What else is there? You could do like a Pyfer versus Paulo Costa, or you could do either of those guys versus Sus Tank RDR. To be honest, this doesn't ruin the middleweight division. The middleweight division is still hype. It's just, you have Chimaev who's a grappler, and you know no one without dominant grappling is ever going to contend with him. So to lose one of those grapplers and only really have Hernandez there kind of kills the division's hype a little bit. You know, not saying that Imavov can't pull it off, but it's much less likely that a striker is going to beat a wrestler. We've seen it time and time again. And now, just to confirm, this isn't a hate video. I was going for RDR when watching this fight, and it just hurts to see someone who you really like lose like that. So props to Brendan Allen. He's a fun fighter, he takes risks, he's powerful, he's got good jiu-jitsu, and he played it cool and he got the fight done. What more could you want? Other than that, guys, let me know what you thought of the card. Don't forget to spank the subscribe button to heal RDR's gas tank. Don't forget to watch this video here. Or is it here? I think it's here. Yeah, I'll put it here. Other than that, love you guys. Thank you very much for your support, and I'll see you next week for a new video. Peace out.